our time. It's our time. It's our time.
Hey there, I'm Shubeeh from North of Normal. Welcome and thanks for joining us. One song, one story is about the power of music and what it brings to our lives. Each guest brings a song and together we explore what it means to them, the memories it holds, the feelings it unlocks, the story it tells about who they are. Because music isn't just something we listen to, it's how we remember, how we connect, and how we make sense of our lives. Today, I'm joined by Polly Taylor Pullen, and I already know this song is going to take us somewhere really powerful. Sincere apologies about the audio issues. The content was too good, so we just had to keep it. So let's settle in, press play, and dive into the music that moves us. Enjoy.
So what to say about this guest? A dear friend, one of the most enthusiastic people I know, and someone I'm really excited about sitting down and talking to because they brought a great song with us today. Welcome to the One Song, One Story podcast, Polly Taylor Pullen. How are you?
Shubeeh, it's a pleasure to be here. And I believe I'm your first guest. What an
You
honor.
are the
I'm
first.
so grateful that you invited me on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And you are soldiering through the after effects of COVID to be here today.
I am. I've even put on some makeup, Shubeeh, to make myself look less dead. So I am here today, raring to go, absolutely raring to go.
Beautiful, beautiful. So question, if your day today was a song, what would the title be and what would the vibe be?
The title would be One Day at a Time. I think
One
I'm in
day
this.
at a time.
Yeah, I'm in a chapter of my life now where I'm just seeing where I go. There's no real plan anymore. So I'm just taking it one day at a time. And I think the vibe would be very uplifting. I think it would be positive. You know, sprinkles of self-doubt, a few highs and lows in the song. But overall, it would be a really uplifting, exciting, energetic song.
I love that. I love that. And you seem in a great phase of life right now. You seem like you're just following the breadcrumbs and seeing where it leads.
Yeah, exactly that. I think when you and I worked together a long time ago, it was a very different chapter of our lives. And I think we were doing it for all the right reasons. But I think it's exciting now that we've exited that world and we can see so much more in terms of potential, possibilities, opportunities. I think it's just so much more exciting to be in a much more creative place.
Mm.
And it feels, pretty exciting, to be honest.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And one thing I like to do is figure out a song that connects us. So I don't know if you'll have one, but you can think of it as we go through. But one song that I always think of when I see you is just because of your name. It's a Public Enemy song called Polly What a Cracker. And it just starts, goes, Polly, Polly. So if I ever look blank, that's me singing that song in my head. But is there a song that you think of when you see me, or a song that connects us at all?
Ooh, come back to me at the end of this. I'll put my thinking cap on and I'll come back to you.
I will do. I will do. We've known each other quite a few years. However, we never really talked about music. So I don't really know what your music tastes are. So how would you describe your taste in music?
So somebody, funnily enough, asked me this the other day. So I've had a bit of a rehearsal of this answer already. I think my taste in music has evolved over the years. I think safe to say when I was growing up in London as a late teenager, I was very much into my R&B. I listened to a lot of really soulful music growing up in West London. I think we were very much inspired by a lot of music from around town. I'd say I definitely went through more of an indie rock phase at university. Sorry, my dog's making a little appearance. Definitely into the sort of UK indie rock scene through my sort of early 20s.
Is this in Manchester?
In Manchester, yeah. I think just very much inspired by that student life. A lot of the people that I was going to classes with, I think, were in a very similar boat. And then I've probably done more of a full circle. I feel like I'm coming back to the music that I was listening to when I was a bit younger. So feeling like I've had a bit of an evolution in terms of my music taste, but I don't think I would pigeonhole myself into certain genres. I think I'm very much open to listening to anything. It's probably easier to talk about what I'm not into than it is talking about what I am into. But yeah, I went to my first techno night the other night and I thought, this is pretty cool. So I'm very open-minded in terms of music taste, influence. And I think that's just, I guess, a good motto for life, isn't it, really? Just to be open to anything. And who knows, you might surprise yourself with what you're interested in.
Yeah, 100%. I kind of find I get way more open-minded towards music the older I get. I think when I was, when you're like a teenager, it's like, no, I'm fiercely into this type of music and not into the rest. But I kind of like, even nowadays, I look back at tunes that I don't think I never would have acknowledged liking when I was growing up because they weren't kind of my type of music. But I look back
Yeah.
now and I just love, there's so many tunes I love that I never really appreciated at the time. But like new music as well. I'm really into loads of new music, whether it's like from Taylor Swift to Sabrina Carpenter to loads of other stuff. I just kind of love hearing what people are doing.
Absolutely. And actually, what's really interesting is over the last 12 months or so, I've reconnected with my childhood best friend. We had a few years where we weren't in contact very much. And actually, we've kind of found ourselves back in a place where we're really close again. And we started making a Spotify playlist together. And I've never used this feature before, but where you can start building a playlist and everybody, each person can add in their. And we've now built this incredible soundtrack to basically our lives growing up as teenagers. And some of the songs on there are just so nostalgic, and it feels like a time capsule that we've created for ourselves. And these are songs that I probably wouldn't listen to every day, but these are songs that definitely capture exactly what we were thinking, feeling, listening to back in, the early 2000s. And it's just so exciting to go back to that place. It feels like it's really unlocked quite a core memory for me. So I'm definitely, I think, going back to your earlier question, I'm definitely going back to the music I was listening to earlier on, probably because it's quite
Back to your
evocative and
roots.
back to my roots. Exactly. So it does feel full circle in that sense. And I think the music that you listen to when you're 13, 14 is the music that sticks with you. So however old you were at 13, 14, I think is the music that you tend to go back to. I don't know why. It sounds like a random age, but I've spoken to a few people and actually it's quite interesting. That's the first time they started expressing a real interest in music. So I wonder whether there's something scientific behind that.
I get that. And I think even for me, I was born in 79. So by the time I got to 11, I'd lived through the 80s. And for me, no matter what I'm into, funk and soul and all these different things, it feels like there's a big part of me that just writes stuff I heard in the 80s. Like that sort of vibe, like aesthetic. Yeah, it feels like it had a real imprint on me. I wasn't even conscious really of what I was listening to back then, but I'd say even younger, you're just like absorbing radio and what people are listening to. I think maybe 11, 12, 13 is maybe when you start first having choice over what you listen to and what you identify with. But I think like we're like sponges up until then as well.
100%. And for me, people of my age will be familiar. The iPod Shuffle came out round about the time I was 12, 13. So that was the first time we were able to consume music on our way to school. The click of a button, we had access to hundreds, if not thousands of songs. And I think that's got to have shaped my taste and sort of inspiration with my musical taste. So I think one day they'll do a study and they'll work out that is the age where we are most impressionable, probably. And that's where our music taste comes from.
Yeah, great point. You mentioned the iPod there, so I'm probably not like I used to be, headphones in all the time, listening to music. But like, what's your relationship with music nowadays? Is it something you kind of listen to often, or is it evolved?
Yeah, all day, every day, to be honest.
Really?
So first thing in the morning, I'll take the dog out for a walk, headphones in, I've got my songs on. I take the dog out 3 times a day, so I've always got my tunes on. Even in the flat, I live on my own now, so it's just lovely to have either the radio on. Um, I admit I'm a big fan of Radio 2, so I do get inspired by a lot of songs that come on Radio 2. That's definitely played a
You are
role
getting
in
on Polly
influence.
Radio
I
too.
know, but honestly, some of the songs on there, you hear them for the first time and you think to yourself, how have I never heard this song before? And I get really
Yeah,
obsessed with
yeah.
certain songs that I hear on the radio. Other than that, I've got 2 speakers in my living room. If I'm in the shower, I've got songs on. I've started going back to a lot of live music gigs as well. So really trying to, yeah, see music in its purest form. And I'm lucky to live in a city where we do have such a great music city, great music vibe in Manchester. So yeah, in answer to your question, it's extremely pervasive in my life. I couldn't imagine being on a plane without listening to music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've got a
Yeah, I
second
don't
set
know
of
what
headphones now because I just can't. The thought of my headphones running out of battery, being on a plane or on a trip freaks me out. So that's how
is
important it is, and that's how pervasive it is in my life.
that's real commitment. I'm impressed by that. I'm impressed. Planes is like one of my favorite places to listen to music. It's really interesting. Like you can listen to the same music in different places, but it feels so different. And there's
Yeah.
something about the travel, but also like the weird pressure thing going on in your ears. It feels like it really just feels so different on a plane.
Yeah, and one of the things I've started doing quite recently, and I wish I'd done it before, so similar to how I explained the playlist I've been collaborating on with my childhood best friend, I've started creating playlists for trips that I'm doing. So any songs that I tend to play on repeat during these trips, it doesn't have to be songs that have been, that are currently in the charts. It could just be any song that I'm particularly drawn to on that trip. I've
Yeah.
started to create playlists, and actually it does feel quite, I don't know. It feels quite. Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? It is like a time capsule, really, isn't it? Just being able to
Yeah,
go back
yeah,
to that
yeah.
playlist and think, God, I really listened to a lot of whoever it is that I was listening to on that trip. But for me, it evokes so many memories, and actually, it's just as important for me to remember the songs I was listening to as it is taking the photos. For me, it's a very
100%.
important part of that trip. So I kind of wish I could go back in time and remember the songs I was listening to
Yeah.
um, on other trips I've done. But that definitely came from when I was younger. I used to go on road trips with my dad, and we used to have a song of the trip. So we didn't have a playlist necessarily, but we would have a song.
Wow.
And we used to really think long and hard about it. It was a really big part of the entire trip, really.
What, so you choose the song after the trip or before the trip
think
or?
I think we would choose it during the trip, so we would probably like not put too much pressure on making a decision. We didn't want to pick something straight away out the gates. I think halfway through the trip we would start to realize like, oh, we've been listening to this song quite a lot, um, and then we would sort of bounce around the idea of this could be the song of the trip, and then by the end of the trip it would be like, this is the song of the trip. By then it'd be unanimous. A huge thing. And I remember, driving, on the drive home, it would be like the sense of relief or the sense of achievement that we'd picked a song of the trip. It was huge.
It's brilliant. There's like so much memory, I think, that gets locked in the music. You were talking about playlists there, and when me and my partner Rach got together, music, it was like the start of lockdown or some point in lockdown. That we would like meet once a week, but we'd set each other a challenge, like a themed playlist, and then we'd come together and both play each other our playlist. And because everything just stays on your Spotify and Apple Music nowadays, we've like still got them. And you put that playlist on, and not only the thought, but when we mean to each song and the story, why you picked that song, but it
Yeah.
transports you back to that day and both of us sitting there listening to each other's songs and stuff. It's like, it just, yeah, it's a beautiful way to remember or to help remember occasions. But then that shifts, I guess, you know, you listen to it in another setting and then suddenly it's like, well, actually it means this to me now.
Yeah.
And,
And I think we're all guilty of being a little bit obsessed with our Spotify wrapped playlists for the year, right? And there's something
yeah,
maybe quite self-absorbed about that, perhaps, you know, wanting to see the insights into what we're, you know, it is a little bit self-obsessive, but I think it is quite nice to have that awareness of, okay, what was our taste in music this year? And there's got to be something behind that. And I think every year tells a slightly different story. For example,
yeah.
2012 for me, my Spotify rap playlist was absolutely awful. You know, I'd never want to share that playlist with anyone because I think it's just so embarrassing. But it's songs that I would listen to in my home gym that I just had on repeat. And it's full of absolutely terrible songs I would hate people to associate me with. But the reality was, that was a weird year where we had to work out from home and we had to play songs to make us feel better about ourselves. So I've got a
Yeah.
playlist full of, you know, Dua Lipa and Lady Gaga. I've got nothing against those artists, but it's not necessarily the songs that I would
Yeah.
listen to now, post COVID. But yeah, every year tells a certain story, I guess, and there is something
It does.
quite amusing about that.
I've never kind of liked my wrap up playlist because I get kind of fixed on, like, if I hear an album and I love it, I will have it on repeat for a long. I get like
Mm.
stuck on albums if I hear a great album. So I feel like every time I go on the wrap up playlist, it's just an album. There's no great
Uh,
insight. It's like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, I know I've been listening to that album all year non-stop. But I think they're cool ideas, really cool ideas.
Yeah, and there's something quite intimate about those Spotify wrap-up playlists. I think I'm quite open with a lot of people, and I like to think I wear my heart on my sleeve, and what you see is what you get with me. There's something quite personal about a Spotify playlist. I
Is that where you
think
draw the line?
that is where I draw the line. I feel like that is such a big reveal into who you are and what you listen to. And I guess there is a lot of pressure to listen to cool music and not music that's in the
Yeah.
charts and alternative stuff. And I think to show somebody my Spotify Wrapped playlist, I think that is probably where I would draw the line, Shubeeh. Even with my like closest friends and family, I think I would be a little bit hesitant to do that. There's something quite intimate about it.
As well, I was going to suggest, you know, that playlist you talked about before that you might drop a link in, but I'm not going to go there. Maybe it's too
Top
far.
secret. Top
Top
secret,
secret.
Shubeeh.
If you listen for the first time, this isn't a podcast about breaking down music theory and production tricks. It's really about the personal connection we have with music and the way one song can hold an entire story, as we've just touched on a little bit there. If you haven't heard the track we're about to talk about, then feel free to hit pause, go give it a listen, and then come back. And I promise the conversation will land even deeper once the song is in your ears. Okay. Polly Taylor Pullen, what is the song that you brought with you today?
So this was probably the hardest thing I had to do, Shubeeh. Pick one song.
That's what everyone says.
It was nearly impossible, but the first song that came to my mind that I couldn't disregard was Fleur by Minnie Ripperton. And there's a reason I picked that song. There's a reason I came back to it. So that is my song choice for today.
Wow. I'm surprised by that, I think, because yeah, I'm like a huge Minnie Ripperton fan. I don't know whether you can see this here, but that's him sitting next to me on my desk.
No way.
Yeah.
No
I
way.
think she's like honestly one of the most underrated artists. Like people just don't. I actually had this conversation once with this. I must have been singing some Minnie Ripperton, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, I know Minnie Ripperton. She did Loving You. I've just never heard of anyone liking her music before." I'm like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Minnie's the best."
Mm,
and a beautiful song. So what was the process for kind of choosing this one?
So at first I wanted to select a song that had been with me from a younger age. And there are songs that I have been listening to a little bit more consistently, probably since my teenage years. This song actually came to me a bit later in life. I'd say it's only really been part of my universe for the last 5 years, potentially 4 or 5 years. But the effect it's had on me made it really hard to ignore it as a choice. I think it's almost come to me in a way where it feels like it's always been there.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
a
had
powerful song.
very powerful. And I think the first time I came across the song, I can't remember whether it was on the radio or perhaps, I don't think I came across it on Spotify. I think it must have been sort of in the background. I heard it and I thought to myself, this song is so familiar. It was almost as if it was in my DNA already. It's quite a
Yeah.
bizarre experience to feel that, but it was almost as if it was in my psyche. And even though I was very aware that I was hearing it for the first time, on the other hand, it felt like it had always been with me. So that was the first thing that caught me off
That's
guard with this
crazy.
song. And then I'm going to get quite deep here. Within the first listen of that song, maybe the second time I listened to it, I had this really overwhelming feeling that if I was on my deathbed and I was on life support, that is the song I would want to be hearing. And I don't know how I can explain that. There was something so deeply profound about how that song moved me and how that song evoked death, life, rebirth. I just had this overwhelming sensation. I've never had that with a song before. And I just thought, if I had to pick the one last song to listen to in my entire life, that would be the song. And that
What a
isn't
song to go
something.
out to.
What a song! But that for me was quite a sensation. I don't necessarily listen to songs thinking, could this be the last song I listen to? But with this song, it was almost as if my mind was made up and that decision was made for me in that instant without me being especially coherent and cognizant of what was going on. I think it just
Yeah.
it was quite overwhelming for me, to be honest. For that reason, it was hard to not choose this song. I think there's clearly some deep connection I have to it.
Yeah. It's your death song.
Even though it's not been in my life for long, it's definitely had an impact, and it's definitely the song that I would want to listen to as my last ever song on earth. So it feels like a great choice for this, to be honest.
I mean, I'd love to get into that more in a bit as well, because it feels like there's such a parallel with death and what the song's about. It's like, and we can get into that. So I'm curious, you mentioned how it's come into your life maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So like, set the scene, if you remember, and do you know when you first heard it, where you were, what was going on, or is it you just know that it came in at some time?
It just came in. Yeah, I wish I could remember the exact moment. In a way, what makes it a little bit more eerie is that I don't necessarily remember it. It's almost as if it came to me and then it woke me up a little bit. I mean, I was aware of Minnie Ripperton from the song Loving You. Obviously, I feel like that's had a lot more mainstream commercial success. Wasn't particularly a fan of Minnie Ripperton, even though I could tell she was incredibly talented from the song Loving You. But she was never an artist that I would have explored necessarily on my own. So I think the song almost came to me by accident. I didn't go out looking for it necessarily. And at first, I guess I was quite surprised how much of an impact it had on me, yet how it wasn't necessarily in the mainstream. It wasn't as prevalent as the song Loving You. And I just wondered whether there was a reason, perhaps, that it never been as big, or at least not to my knowledge. So in answer to your question, I can't remember the exact moment, but it definitely came to me out of the blue, probably when I was least expecting it. It wasn't something that I tracked down or necessarily had recommended to me, which makes it even more of a treat, really. It was just such an unexpected gift.
Very cool. And like at the time, the album this was on, it didn't really hit at all. It's an amazing album. It wasn't huge at the time, but then there are like certain songs off it that seem to have just been rediscovered. And then this one in particular seems to be rediscovered, and now it's like TV advert music because it makes you feel so much. But at the time, it wasn't. Yeah, I don't think it did incredibly well. But fun fact about Minnie Ripperton, you know Maya Rudolph?
Yes.
She's Minnie Ripperton's daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Incredible.
at the end of Loving You, on the sort of the fade out, she's singing Maya. It's a song about Maya. And I was like, no fucking way.
Mm.
And like a song about a daughter, I always thought it was about a lover or something like that. But then, yeah, it's really cool anyway.
Really cool. And to think that that album came out 50 plus years ago, so probably about 50 years ago when I started listening to it, just makes it even more magical.
Yeah.
Half a century later, people are still discovering it for the first time, which, yeah, has to be an acknowledgement of how powerful that album is.
Absolutely. And I'm curious to know, like, what hit you first? I guess with me, I just Googled the lyrics before this podcast because I never know the lyrics. My favorite songs, I'll just sing along. Da, ba, da, ba, da, da. I'm not curious about the lyrics. For me, it's like the energy. But when you listen to music, do you kind of hear the music, the lyrics? How do you kind of hear it? What hit you about this one?
I was the same as you. For a song that is so important to me and special to me, I was surprised by how few of the lyrics I knew. I couldn't recite the lyrics off by heart, even though I've probably listened to it in excess of 1,000 times.
Yeah,
and there's something quite spooky about that, but maybe that's the whole point of the song. It does take you on a journey. I think the verses are quite almost a little bit chilling. Like there's a little bit of an eeriness to the verses, and it kind of lures you in.
Yeah.
And then I think for me, the connection I had to the song is really around the choir, the backing singers that come in the bridge to the chorus. That for me just sends shivers down my spine. So I think that was probably the initial connection to the song. It was probably that crescendo from her, very sort of gentle, almost kind of eerie quality of the voice, to this big showcase of all of the backing singers singing in that choir. I mean, it gives me goosebumps now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Going back to your question, I think it's less about the lyrics and it's more about the journey the song takes you on from the verses to the chorus, and how it almost feels like they're two different songs. It was only really after I had that very deep connection with the song that I realized it was about birth, death. I would even go as far as saying rebirth.
Yeah.
Which makes it even more interesting for me, I guess you could say, is because I'd already had that connection to it as being, this is the song I want to listen to if I am on my deathbed and I do have to pick one last song. And then to then go back and uncover the real meaning behind it, or at least the meaning that I think the song evokes, and just made it that little bit more spiritual.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think you could, and I love this about both music and lyrics. They're so personal in terms of the interpretation. Like it's not a literal thing. It's kind of how they land with you. But I think for me, there's so much in there about flowers and seasons. It feels like just the transformation and the cycle of life, maybe sort of spiritual transformation, or there's something in there. So it's really powerful. It just made you think of like dying, like in the most beautiful way. Because, you think of death is like rebirth, and it's like, yeah, I know it's quite a powerful connection. And it does kind of, like you were saying before, and it's amazing, you can never go back and listen to it for the first time, but you still get it when you listen to it now. is just that, like you were saying, it kind of lulls you in with that verse that woof, it just kind of hits you and lifts you up somewhere different. It's yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful song choice. Is there like a specific anthem, memory, season that this song holds for you at all?
I think it's fair to say that it's not a song that I'm listening to every week necessarily, but when I do go back to listen to the song, when I revisit it, there's probably a reason why I'm revisiting it. I probably am not conscious of it at the time, but there might be that I'm going through quite a transformative change in my life, or perhaps I do need a bit more of a boost. I think for me, the song is a lot about, well, as much about self-confidence and self-worth as it is about being reborn. So to answer your question, it's hard for me to put my finger on it. And this is why I hesitated about picking this as my song choice, because I think a lot of the reason why I'm connected to this song is on a subconscious level. So it's difficult for me to be super conscious about why I'm picking this song choice and why I am so connected to it. But it's got that ethereal quality about it where I'm probably not even conscious of why I'm putting it on, but every time I put it on, I feel just like I did the first time I ever listened to it.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether, I'm pretty sure the first time I heard it, I probably listened to it on repeat 100 times within a couple of days. I think I am very obsessive about a song when I hear it for the first time. But then what's different about this song is most of the songs that I binge listen to at the start, I can then very easily get the ick with. I can start to get a bit disgusted by, and I've overconsumed the song, and I've kind of ruined it for myself. So it's great for those 48 hours where I'm listening to it on repeat, but then after that it loses its appeal. What I find different about this song is I binge listened to it for probably 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever it was. But I can still come back to it now and it feels fresh. It feels as if it's the first time I'm listening to it again.
Yeah.
So I don't think it necessarily evokes a season, or I don't know if I can connect it to a certain period of my life, but I would say it's always there in the background. I might not be necessarily conscious of it being there, but it's there. And when I want to listen to it, it makes me feel incredible. It makes me feel like the first time I listened to it. So there's got to be something behind that.
And it's so interesting what you're saying about like maybe subconsciously being drawn back to it, because you're in a huge period of transformation right now, right? You've left behind what seemed like probably a stable, solid career, and you're an entrepreneur now. You're doing something you're passionate about, but it's like, you are in transformation. I guess there's probably times where it's scary and nervous and wondering whether you're doing the right thing. And then I love the idea of this song being like, Paul, come back and listen to me again. You need me right now.
I mean, there are so many levels I could go into, but as part of my preparation for today, I did look into Minnie Ripperton's story, and I was aware that she died at a young age, but she actually died at the age of 31, which is even younger than I was expecting. And I might be looking for meaning in this. It might not necessarily have anything to do with the song choice whatsoever, but 31 was probably the most transformative year of my life to date. And I think there is something about getting past the age of 30 and starting to really reassess where you are in life. And maybe there was a bit of a rebirth for me at 31 and making decisions that have now shaped what my future life would look like. So it's probably a total coincidence that she passed away at the age of 31. And I mean, what a tragedy that was. But for me, it just connects me even deeper to the song. I think knowing that her life ended at 31, it feels like my life as I know it now is just starting, or at least it did start at 31. A lot to be grateful for, a lot to really reflect on, but there's some sort of crazy cosmic magic going on.
Yeah,
there.
I love it. I don't even believe in coincidence, even things like just looking, something drew you to look into a story, and then it becomes even deeper, the connection with this song. So it's a brilliant song choice. Brilliant song choice. Absolutely. Yeah, I love listening to you talk about it and how powerful it is. I was not expecting you to say is your death song. I'm kind of sitting here thinking, man, I've never listened to a song and thought, man, it's going to be my death song. I want a death song now.
I'd never had that sensation before. I mean, death song, I don't even know if that's a term, Shubeeh. I think we might have just created
I think it
something
is
here.
now.
I think it is now, but yeah, no
Maybe
song has
you could,
ever made me think this is a death song, but it is that
yeah,
for me would be my deathbed song. So read into
maybe
that what you will.
a line of work as a professional death song consultant.
I
You
like
set
it.
upfront fee for finding the perfect death song.
Mm.
Just give them Fleur every time.
Forget Desert Island discs for losers. Death song discs, I think, is where we're going.
Oh man, that's so cool. Okay, so I guess where do I want to go now, really? I think, again, what we said at the start, this isn't really about sort of musical analysis or anything like that. But I'm curious to know when you listen to it, kind of what you admire most about it, whether it's the musically, lyrically, or emotionally. Are there things that stand out that you admire about it?
I think, and again, I'm not speaking as anybody that knows anything about music, but the build throughout the songs, I call it the crescendo, where it really starts off quite gentle, very sort of, I would describe it as quite ethereal. It's certainly in her voice and the lyrics, it's just quite gentle. It's almost as if it's building up to something a little bit bigger. By the time you get to the bridge and the chorus, it feels like a big party. I think it feels like the choir's backing it. That is the moment for me where I get the goosebumps. And I think similar to what we were saying before, I probably wasn't even aware of what the lyrics were at this point, but just listening to the music and listening to that build throughout the song definitely sticks with you. What I find even more strange about this song, and I have dissected it obviously in preparation for this conversation today, there's a verse where the lyrics are totally nonsensical, and I didn't even know that until I looked it up, and I thought, this whole time I expected there to be a meaning, because I thought, well, it's a song and lyrics are being sung, and I just assumed that there were lyrics.
Yeah, I saw this piece and I thought it might have switched to a different language. Is it just like, it doesn't mean anything?
It's just gibberish. And I think that is quite a bold, I mean, imagine in the 1970s, it's like, we're going to have a verse where actually we're just talking gibberish. There's no meaning. We can't dissect it. There's a French title, but the verse is in English, and then there's a verse which is in a language that nobody's going to understand. Like, that's quite a brave decision to make. So, I mean, I'd love to be qualified enough to dissect why there is a verse with I mean, on the surface, no meaning whatsoever.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what is so powerful about the songs, that we do connect our own meaning to the song, because we've been given that platform. It's like a blank canvas in a way, where we can just experience the song without being guided one way or another. I mean, if that's what they were trying to get at, Shubeeh, hats off to them. If that is totally the opposite of what they're trying to get at, then that's probably the meaning that I'm attaching to the song myself.
That's so cool, though. I mean, I think when I'm writing songs and I haven't got lyrics, it does start with sounds like and then the lyrics come. And like, maybe they just thought, actually, fuck the words, that sounds really good. But I love what you say there, because we were just talking about not knowing the lyrics and just singing sounds to the music, because even the sounds make me feel stuff and stuff. Maybe they were like, that sounds great. And then we listened to it and we really enjoy it because we just love the sounds and singing along with the sounds. And it's almost like, you don't need lyrics. This is perfect as it is. Absolutely perfect.
It's crazy. I mean, if I was to like attach my own personal connection to the song, the first verse is very much, this is a song, there's a method behind it, the lyrics mean something. Get to the chorus, it all starts to get a little bit, where are we going? By verse 2, who knows what's happening? I mean, that's quite emblematic, of where I am in my life. I think I've had a very defined life. Go to uni, get the job, do this, do that, follow the rule book, so to speak. And then I get to a point where there's a little bit of turbulence, there's a little bit of where are we going, and it feels like a big transformation. Second part of the song, who knows what's going on?
Yeah.
It certainly feels as if the second part of the song is almost like you've had your rebirth.
Yeah.
What's next? And you don't need to know what the lyrics are. But you've got the melody and you're vibing with the song, and actually you're just happy to let the song happen to you at that point. You don't need to know where it's going. You don't need to follow the course of the song. You're just quite happy you're just listening to it at that point. And I think for anyone that's had quite a big change in their life, maybe they can connect to that. Maybe they do feel I've never known a song like it. There's gonna be something quite unique and special about that transition.
Man, I love your take on that. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. This is the perfect song for you to bring today. I love that. Such an amazing explanation of it. Question. You don't have to have an answer. If someone else was to cover it, who would you want to cover it and why? You may just say no one should ever cover this song.
That's really tough. Has anyone covered it? I don't know. Maybe they have already.
They have, yeah. No, they have. I just Googled it before and people have covered it, but I've never, I still haven't listened to it. I'm not sure I was ready to bring myself to like listen to the cover version yet.
So tough. I can't imagine anyone doing that last verse any justice.
Yeah. And it's kind of so, I mean, it'd be so interesting to hear. I think part of the charm of it is that it sounds so old school as well when everything kicks in.
Yeah.
To hear it in a new, polished way might, and it's your death song, so maybe just stay away from cover versions. You don't want anything messing with that death song.
I think it'd be really hard for somebody to. I think certainly people could put their own spin on the song, but I think I've got to be a purist for this answer. I think there's something about Minnie and the pairing of that song where it just feels like nothing's going to beat it and it's got to be left as it is. And I'm not normally a super traditionalist. I think I love the idea that music can come to us in different forms, and I'm all for covers. But I think with this song, I have to be a little bit against the idea of it being covered.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with this one. I'd probably agree, but now we're talking about it, I'm curious to know what the cover versions sound like. But I'm not running towards them. Is there anything else you'd like to say about this beautiful song?
No.
It's been amazing, and we're starting to come towards the end of our conversation. Before we close, I would love to pause here. Looking back on what we've shared, and I think we've covered a lot of ground. This song, the story, the memories, the death song, which is now a thing.
TM.
Is there anything that stands out for you? Is there anything that's changed through actually talking about it out loud?
As I said before, I think I definitely had a subconscious connection to the song. I think now I've looked into it and now I've shared that I've never spoken to anybody about this before. I think I'll be listening to it on a much more conscious level. And I'd be interested to now listen back to the song and see if I am opening up my mind to my neural pathways and what is connecting me to the song. So yes, I can definitely see myself connecting to the song in different ways now we've had this conversation.
Beautiful. And this is now out in the public domain, so, if anything happens to you, Polly, we know what the song is. Thank you for bringing this song and for bringing yourself so openly. It's been a gift to share this time with you. And before we close, where can people find you, follow your retreats? Is there a website or social media profile you can give us?
That'd be great. So yeah, last year I launched a women's retreat business for women who are starting over. Maybe they've connected to this song in a similar way to I have. The business is called Palau, Palau. You can follow us on socials at We Are Palau.
Where does the name come from? Does it mean something?
It does. It's a Catalan word that means the convergence of people with a similar idea or interest. So there is meaning behind the name, but it's a physical convergence of people who have similar outlooks on life that want to connect in person.
Beautiful. Well, I've got a link. I can probably drop it in the link when it goes live. Polly, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to speak to you soon.
I've enjoyed every minute. Thank you, Shubeeh. And you know what I'm going to do now? Listen to the song,
Listen,
obviously.
me too. It's great. Thanks, Polly.
See you later.
It's our time. It's our time. It's our time.